How you doing, everybody? I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Shawn Adams.
This is Smacktalk.
Smacktalk, baby.
Oh,
Smacktalk.
we're excited today.
Oh, today's a good day. Yes. Let's start out. It's World Cup, day number 5.
We'll tell you why it's such a good day in a minute. We're going to talk about some other stuff. Just get it out of the way.
Just get it out of the way. First things first. Sad news. Give a moment of silence. Tony Gwynn dies at the age of 54. Lost his battle of cancer. San Diego Padres, probably the best player ever played for the Padres.
Listen to this stat. In 20 years in Major League Baseball, Tony Gwynn has less than 500 strikeouts.
434 to be exact. He has won 3 strikeout game in his whole career. One.
I can name you 5 players that have 3 strikeout games multiple times this year.
Yeah. Multiple times within a week.
Yeah. Adam Dunn. 1.
Yeah. So that's a sad thing. Of course, I'll let Tony announce the next one because I vowed never to talk about him again.
Oh, the Spurs beat the Heat, and hopefully the Big Three can break up and go elsewhere, and LeBron James can go to Cleveland and not win a title there. Dwayne Wade can come to Chicago and break his knees just like Derrick Rose. And Chris Bosh can go back to Toronto maybe.
Yeah,
so he can never be relevant again.
We're not going to talk about that. They did, the Spurs, I'll talk about the Spurs, they did win their 5th title. You have to put them in a whole different caliber as far as dynasties go, as far as greatest coaches of all time. Greg Popovich has definitely put his name in that argument. Tim Duncan has 5 titles to his name. Kawhi Leonard, named Finals MVP, definitely deserving of it. He will be the guy that carries that franchise forward in the future. We're talking about the distant future. We're not talking about the soon-to-be-retired Tony Parker managed Ginobili, Tim Duncan times. So probably in the next 4 or 5 years when all that goes down.
Back to World Cup!
Iran, Nigeria, as I predicted, the first scoreless draw of the World Cup.
The only thing that makes me more upset that you predicted it is that I had Nigeria on parlay. And that's the only game I lost on the parlay.
Yeah. So it was probably the most boring game ever. We're not even going to give you the stats because it's a 0-0 draw against 2 countries that have no chance whatsoever, especially in their group. We'll get to their group here in a second.
All I know is that the fouls were even.
Yeah, the foul. Yeah, conspiracy's alive. It was the first draw of the World Cup. It took 13 games for a draw to happen, which is the longest streak since the opener World Cup. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb when we get to the next part of what we're talking about, because I'm just going to let everyone know, all our viewers, I'm going to let you guys know, I'm going to go out there on a limb because I'm a person that recognizes patterns. Okay, so remember that this is the first thing since 1930. First draw, longest streak, took 13 games. Remember that because that's been a theme for the last couple of days. We're going to go back into it. But the early game of the day.
Yes, something exciting happened in the early game.
Yeah, a can of whoop was opened. You know, whoop ass. I'm just going to say it.
No, that's fine.
It was open.
It was a can of donkey opened on whooping donkey open on somebody. Germany beat Portugal 4-0.
4-0. Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo. 4-0.
Now wait a second. There was a red card in this game from Pepe.
Yeah.
Who's just a friggin' genius who likes to headbutt people while they're on the ground.
He murders people in his spare time. He's like Dexter. There's memes. I'm not lying. You guys think I'm joking? Type in Pepe memes. I guarantee you'll see a bunch of this stuff.
Okay, so Pepe got a red card for headbutting
in the 12th minute, early.
Yeah, and then Fabio Contral went down with an injury.
So did Hugo Almeida, the other striker.
But we have to say this: it was 2-0 before that happened.
Yeah, it was 2-0.
So, I mean, yeah, the extra 2 goals happened with 10 men for Portugal, but I think it would have happened anyway.
Yeah, it probably would have. The first goal was Thomas Mueller, who had a hat trick, by the way. 12th minute penalty. It was Mario Götze that was brought down in the box by it was his first yellow card of the game. Obviously, since it was a penalty. Mueller then went on to score in stoppage time of the first half in the 45th plus 1 minute, so the 46th minute of the first half. He also scored in the 78th minute to complete his hat trick, which makes Thomas Mueller the leader for the Golden Boot with 3 goals. Neymar's got 2. Messi's only got 1. Ronaldo's got 0. Mueller has 3, and it's the first game. Matt Hummels also scored in the header. That's what made it 2-0. The Pepe red card happened in the 35th minute, which was right after the Hummels.
Yeah, and even though they were down to 10 men, they still both had 9 shots on goal.
Yeah, they were 14-13 on total shots. It's a pretty even game. 11-8 on fouls. Still pretty even. The conspiracy's still alive. Germany was offside twice. Portugal was offside once. 6 corners to 4 corners for Portugal in favor of Portugal. Possession, of course, was with Germany because once you go down 10 men, it's harder to win the ball back.
Sure.
There was only 1 yellow card for Portugal. That's what led to the penalty, but there was the red card, which brought them down to. And then so Germany looks really good. Tony was worried about them. In fact, when we did our predictions, I had USA and Germany going through. I have confidence in Germany's midfield. As you can see, Mueller's there. You got Ozil. When you sub out Ozil, you put in Andre Shirley, who I texted Tony while this was happening. I thought for sure Shirley would get on goal because this kid loves to shoot the ball.
Yeah, you got Podolski coming in as striker. The thing for me with Germany is they're playing Philipp Lahm, a usual left back, up front in the mid.
Center defensive mid,
which actually, Philipp Lahm, if you don't know, can actually shoot the ball too as a defender.
So that's the captain. This guy can play pretty much any position. He's just too short to be a striker.
Yeah. He can't get up and have the ball.
Left back. Per Mertesacker did start the game. Matt Hummels and Per Mertesacker look very solid in the back.
Hummels got a little knock. I don't know how that's going to work out. He didn't get subbed off, but he did look like he was straining for the rest of the game.
Yep. So, Germany looks real good. We already talked about the Iran-Nigeria game. Before we move on, the Iran-Nigeria, the table for that group, Argentina with 3 points at +1 goal diff. Yesterday they beat Bosnia 2-1. Messi scored the game winner. Iran, Nigeria drew, so they both have 1 point. They're tied for second place, and Bosnia is at last place. But the good thing for Bosnia is they get to play Iran and Nigeria. Are you going to say that Argentina is walking away with 9 points? They're going perfect in the group?
Yep.
I'd say so, too.
I'm going to say that is the most boring group in World Cup history.
Yeah.
That's awful. And I complained about this 2 days ago, yesterday, I think 3 days ago, too. Ridiculous, dude. And let's get on to more happy news.
Let's go to happy news. For those of you that live under a rock in this country, the United States has just defeated our nemesis, Ghana, 2-1. Winner. We're winners.
Winning.
I'd like to say one thing. I'm going to bleep myself out. America!
Yeah.
Tony does that to me all the time, so I'm just going to go with it.
USA 2-1 against Ghana. We only had 8 total shots, 4 on goal. Ghana had 21 shots, but it just says something because they only had 3 on goal. It says something about our defense.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't park the bus like we talked about when we had the lead. We still were trying for the counterattack.
We just couldn't keep the ball.
Yeah, we couldn't keep the ball. AU.
Credit to Ghana for that.
Yeah, and Guyana.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Clint Dempsey scored in 34 seconds, which is the fastest goal in United States World Cup history. It is the 6th fastest in World Cup history. And just for you guys, the other stat people, the fastest goal ever was scored in 11 seconds. Turkey versus South Korea in 2002, 11 seconds. That's like blow the whistle, somebody scores.
That's insanity.
Clint Dempsey is also the first American ever to score in 3 World Cups.
We had another guy, the first American ever to play in 4 World Cups was DeMarcus Beasley.
DeMarcus Beasley. That honor would have also been to Donovan, but he's not on the team. Who predicted the scoreline correctly on ESPN prior.
We had Josie Altidore go down.
Yeah, Josie Altidore did go down with a hamstring injury. It looked pretty bad, but the reports
really bad.
Is that it's just a strain, which could be good news. Probably missing the Portugal game.
It can be good news, but he's going for MRIs or whatever they do tomorrow morning and to find out more about it. Also, Matt Beasler kind of had the same injury, a pulled calf or a strained calf or a strained hamstring,
whatever. Yeah, he was
whatever.
subbed out
for
halftime.
Jonathan Brooks.
Just so you narrate the game, United States scored. We looked good for about the first 10 minutes, and then Ghana got into the game, and then the onslaught started. The onslaught continued through halftime, and it continued all the way until the 82nd minute, where a beautiful ball, a back heel by Asamoah Gyan, or Gyan, however you want to pronounce it, used to play for Sunderland, with a back heel to Jordan AU, the other striker. Because there's 2. I think Andrew was subbed off for Boateng. Yeah.
I'm surprised his name's Jordan.
Yeah. And he put a wonderful left-footed shot outside of the boot.
Bending away from Howard.
Yeah, to fool Howard thinking he's going across goal. He went near post.
It was ridiculous in the 82nd minute. And then, when the 86th minute came around, I was screaming too. I'm like, Shawn just laying there on the couch like, we're looking at a draw. And I'm yelling. I'm like, this ain't over. This ain't over.
Yeah. And then we get a chance at a Graham Zusi corner. And
Yeah,
then we
Graham Zuzi came out for Bedoya because Bedoya,
got pulled up
another
a
person who's pulling up with a hammy injury. So Graham Zuzi comes in, we win a corner, and on the corner,
you get on the 86th minute, you get this.
John Anthony Brooks came in in like the 83rd minute or something, but he came in.
He came in at halftime.
He came in at
For
halftime.
Besler.
Oh, he did. He came in at
Okay.
halftime for Besler. You're right. Besler, whatever,
And
for
he
the
looked
hammy.
good playing defense.
He did. He dispossessed the Ghana players a couple times, and he blocked a good header.
Michael assigned header,
Yeah,
late
yeah.
in the game. His header is for you young soccer players. If you watch this goal, this is exactly if you're on the edges of the box, if you're on the near post, far post, there's different techniques as far as the flick on,
Yeah.
the cross header. But when you're in the center of the box, the technique is to hit the ball with pace downward, because if you watch the flight of the ball, it goes down, it bounces in front of the goalie, and the goalie has to track a bounce, which is one of the hardest things to do. And of course, it went in.
And you put a lot of pace on the ball. It's got a high bounce, so he goes down to stop it. It bounces
And
over
up
his head.
Exactly.
You know, and that's basically what happened.
So yeah, we won. We won 2-1. And at that point, we were ecstatic. Although Ghana did have a few chances, but then like in the 88th and a half, 89th minute, we had 5 minutes of stoppage time in the first half and the second half. But in the stoppage time and 89th minute esque time, United States started to win the ball back more, play a little slower. They did it. Bradley on a counterattack. Why he didn't run the ball to the corner, who knows? But he thought he saw Aaron Johansson out, who came in for Altidore. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but they did continue to win the ball back, keep possession. Went through all 5 minutes. Ghana had a few more chances, but nothing came of them. Jordan Ayew again came into the box, tried to flick it on to Asane. Jonathan Brooks makes the block.
Yep.
They escape. It was definitely a tough game, a grind-out game, exactly how America wants to play games. They did not want to concede that 82nd minute goal because that's giving you little time to – I mean, a draw wouldn't have been bad.
No, but that's not what we've preached since qualifiers or since the draw.
Yeah.
Since the draw, when we found out Ghana was our first game.
We wanted to win this match. 3 points.
We needed the 3. We needed the 3, knowing that Portugal and Germany were afterwards.
Yeah, before we move on to this game, just so you guys know, the group of death, as it was labeled, and for you to know, it's labeled the group of death because the United States is in it. Not just because we're in it, but because we're not a walkover anymore. 94, 98, things like that.
No.
Okay. Germany has got 3 points. They got a +4 goal diff because they demolished Portugal. The United States is in second with 3 points with a +1 goal differential. Ghana's right there because they play Germany next. So the psychic elephant predicted Germany loses to both the United States and Ghana. We'll see about that. So much for psychic elephants. They got a -1 goal diff, and Portugal's in last place. I want to say WTF, as in what the? They got a -4 goal diff the first game. Even if they win one game, let's say they beat us, right? They have to win 4-0 to go back to an even goal diff, because at right now, 3 points is probably not going to advance out of that group. 4, I'll say 4 advances in second place.
Yeah, maybe.
But 3 is not going to. Not with the United States winning.
No, and the big thing that with the next game against Portugal is that Pepe's going to be out because of the red card. Contral doesn't look like he's going to come back because of his injury. So
Hugo Almeida, they don't have another striker. They got Eder.
A team that was already not looking so good is looking a lot worse.
I mean, they got Cristiano Ronaldo, so we're not going to rule them out because he is one of the better players in the world, if not the best player in the world. That's argumentative. Me and Tony think he is. But he can't do it all himself, especially with Fabio Contral, because that's an anchor in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo Almeida, he's an all right striker. He's never really lived up to his expectation. He has a good goal scoring record for his country, but he's not that great. So
and they started Miguel Veloso in the middle, and he didn't do anything. No. And they took him out for Costa at halftime because they were just
getting smoked. Yeah, the Germany midfield is dominant though, and so that looks good for the United States. Now, the one thing I want to ask, with the Altidore injury, the Besler injury, and the potential Bedoya injury, all 3 of our subs, was humidity a factor? Because remember, Manaus, where we play next against Portugal on Sunday, is the hottest the most humid of it's closest to the equator.
Mm-hmm.
Natal was relatively a coastal city. It's a cool, but because of the rain that has happened, the humidity rose. It was the same humidity as it was in Manaus. Was that a factor in today's game? Because Ghana looked like they were all right. I don't know if it's because they're African.
Yeah, well, they're used to playing in the heat. I mean, when we play games, we play. I mean, we played in Jacksonville, I think, because of the humidity
Yeah.
in our warm-up games. But when we play friendlies, when we played in qualifiers, we played in Colorado in the snow. I mean, we're not used to
We
that
should have
type of
played in the
humidity.
bayou. We should
Yeah,
have played Louisiana or something.
we should have played somewhere else besides Colorado. That was a bad decision. But either way, I think it was a big factor. That's why people are pulling up on hammies. All I know is that Jurgen Klinsmann and the training staff has to get these guys on IVs or something because
Yeah.
you can't have this happen the whole.
Dempsey also looked like he got a broken nose.
Yeah, that was bad.
It should have been dangerous play, yellow card in my opinion.
Yeah, his
because
foot was over his head.
They're jumping up for a header. Both of them go for the header, and this guy brings his leg up, and the leg literally catches Dempsey in the nose. Looked like I thought it was broken. He came, he played it. He looked like a boxing match.
I don't know, man. It looks broken to me.
Yeah,
it might be
it
broken.
Was crooked. It was crooked. It was definitely crooked.
It was Owen
Wilson
Wilson style, that's for
yeah.
sure. He had a couple cotton balls up his nose for the rest of the game, I'm sure.
Probably hurt his breathing a little bit.
Yeah, like the announcer said. I mean, he can't breathe when he's running with just his mouth open like a dog panting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Even
so he
dogs
wasn't
breathe through their mouth and use the nose for.
And he wasn't really a big factor. I mean, he had another shot on goal at the end of the game, but it wasn't anything special.
What I want to say is, okay, humidity was a factor, but do you think this kind of helps, being that we're going to play a similar temperatured game? I mean, because think about it. If we'd have played in a coastal city where it's just hot, then we go to the humid area, then these problems could have happened in a much more crucial game.
So you're saying they might be used to it now?
Yeah, their bodies might have gotten acclimated.
I hope so.
Bodies.
After one game, I mean, I don't know if they get acclimated, but they'll definitely know what's coming.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So they'll know what's coming. They'll expect it. Now, me and Tony, when we talked about this with the game, because of the subs, our projected starters, we definitely want to see Zuzi instead of Bedoya.
Without a doubt.
We agree with Beckerman and Jones as the midfield with Bradley.
Yep.
We want to see Wondolowski instead of Aaron Johansson because he really didn't do much, and he's young. So.
And we definitely want to see John Anthony Brooks.
John Anthony Brooks starting because he had a great game, And Beasler, if these guys got hamstring injuries, there's no reason to force them to play when you need the depth. Yeah. If we're going to go further, we need that depth. We need the subs.
And a couple guys that played well that solidified their starting spot, in my opinion, is Fabian Johnson.
Fabian Johnson
played awesome.
And this is what I'm going to say, and I told you this. Once Zuzi came in, because Bedoya was hurt, Johnson had to stay back and stop Asamoah.
Yeah.
Okay? And once Zuzi came in and helped the defensive coverage, Johnson was able to get forward, and twice he got into the box. And one of those times, he had a chance to shoot, and it's when Dempsey took his shot. He passed it off to Dempsey, but he looked very dangerous once he got in the box. And that's one thing I like about Fabian Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He plays in Germany. He's half German. We got a lot of these players in our team that, Klinsmann got to play. And these guys, they play world-class football. John Anthony Brooks plays for Hertha Berlin. We got these players that play in Europe. Geoff Cameron plays for Stoke. Jermaine Jones plays for Schalke. You got these players, so they're used to this. And you talk about solidify a starting spot. I think Jermaine Jones covered DeMarcus Beasley all game long, because it wasn't until like the 50th minute that Beasley began to
show up.
Until that, Jones was all over the place on that side. On that right-hand side, he was all over, covering, blocking shots, making tackles, making professional fouls.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Jermaine Jones played a great game. Clint Dempsey with the first goal.
The way to open a game.
Yeah, the way to open a game. Come out firing, you know what I'm saying?
And it was from a Jones assist. It was from a Jones flick on.
It wasn't a throw-in from Beasley, yeah.
Beasley threw it on, Jones flicked it, Dempsey, 2 great touches to get past the defenders.
Oh, yeah, one behind his leg and then a crossover. Even if the Ghana player would have clipped him in the legs, it would have been a penalty anyway.
It would have been a penalty. Well, we don't know in this World Cup.
Yeah,
we don't know this well. If you just fall over with no touching, you're probably going to get a penalty.
Oh, yeah, but if you get clipped and do a front flip, I mean, it's no call. Either way, Clint Dempsey getting hit in the nose, stayed tough, and kept in the game instead of bowing out. And you can tell he was pissed when he got hit in the nose. And not to mention a couple other times he got a bad foul on.
But you know what? And the bad fouls, I think they came from the younger Ghana players, because you looked at not Mensah, but the Openya and Boateng and Assign. You look at these players that are world-class players that play in top leagues, Guyane. These guys of Ghana were keeping their cool, and you could even see the exchanges between Howard and Dempsey and Jones, between the smiles, the talking, I think Jones and the Appiah got into it, and
Yeah,
the
it
ref
was.
pulled him over, and they were shaking each other's hand. They were trying to explain to the ref like, yo, it was
Yeah,
like a
we're
little
just
mix
yeah,
up.
it's a little battle. What are you gonna do? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I mean, Graham Zusi, I think was a great sub for Bedoya. Definitely earned a starting spot next game, in my opinion. A guy who can cross the ball in just probably as good, if not better than
But
Bedoya,
yeah,
and he opens up a lot of things in the midfield
yeah.
as far as striking goes.
Gives up options. He knows where to find space. Whereas Bedoya is more of the side runner. Zuzi is able to get on the sides, but he's also able to drift into the midfield, let Bradley come out wide if Bradley
Hmm.
desires to do so. It also allows Beckerman more defensive liberty
Yeah,
where he doesn't have to push up so high
yeah,
because you got a guy running and covering the he's got to cover the flank. Zuzi's there. Beckerman can kind of just sit in the midfield.
yeah,
Wait, if they do break, you got somebody there to cover because
yeah,
Beckerman
definitely.
definitely played a great game. I want to ask you, we just beat Ghana. Is there going to be an emotional high going into the next
You mean
game?
like a letdown against Portugal?
Not so much let down, but as in like your first 30 minutes, you spend all your energy.
I don't think so. I think the only reason I say no is because I think Klinsmann is a smart enough coach to
Okay.
get them down from cloud nine back to earth
You think
right
it's
away.
happening right now in the locker
Yeah,
room?
definitely.
It's
I
like, all right,
think that
guys,
it's a little celebration for about 10 minutes, but it's
let's get
this
back
is
to
this is
business.
one of three, and this is the easiest game they're gonna play.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you barely came
Well,
out with a win here.
I don't know. Portugal might be the easiest game.
You never know. You never
Portugal,
know.
and I said this when we were doing our lead up coverage, our shows. I talked about big teams that notoriously crash out of the tournament. It happened to France last year. It happened to Italy last time, not last year in 2010, to both France and Italy. It's happened to England a few times. It
Hmm.
happened to the United States. At one time, we were ranked number 5 in the world. We went to the world stage, group stage, didn't win a single game. It happens. Big teams crash out. Argentina's crashed out in the group stage before. Ivory Coast is notorious for crashing out in the group stage. Cameroon in 2002, when Samuel Eto'o was young, was a very good team. They crashed out, didn't win a single game. So you're always going to have surprises. The Costa Ricas, the Netherlands beating Spain, not so much a surprise, but as in the scoreline was.
Sure.
And because of this, you get teams, they don't win their opener. Then they play the second game, a tough game, not Argentina playing Iran or something like that, but like a Uruguay England. You
Yeah.
could see England lose to Uruguay, and now England's lost 2 straight games.
Yeah.
You could see Uruguay lose to England, and now Uruguay's lost 2 straight games.
Very
We're talking
true.
about good teams that potentially don't win a game because both those teams still play tough. Uruguay has to play England and then Italy. So you could see Uruguay go 0 for 3 in the World Cup. You could see Portugal lose to the United States. We've already beaten Portugal. We beat them in 2002 in the opening game.
Yeah.
We can beat them. We beat them. Now Portugal has to play Ghana. And if Ghana doesn't beat Germany, Ghana's going to want to get something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's very likely if we did beat Portugal and we have 6 points and Germany beats Ghana, we're both in, right? Now Portugal and Ghana are just playing something to play for. Well, you're more likely to see Portugal with nothing to play for.
Yeah, it's a bigger letdown.
It's bigger letdown where Ghana wants to make a showing.
Oh yeah, they just want some points. They just want to
the transfers, they're showing their coach, for their nation, for pride. Whereas Portugal, it's a letdown. They're going to hear about it in the media.
And when you're watching that Portugal Germany game, the coach for Portugal just looked completely uninterested in the game.
Yeah.
And
he's down 2-0 at 30 minutes.
I mean, but you got to fire your guys up, man. You got to show some sort of leadership as the coach of the team. I mean, you can't just sit there with your arms folded in your little freaking, car seat or whatever they have for him over there and just shut up. It's just, I don't know. That's why I like Klinsmann, because he was up, he was excited, he was fired up when Dempsey scored the first goal. Yeah. I mean, he's just as excited as the players when they score a goal. He's jumping up, he's screaming. I mean, I didn't see that with the Portugal coach at all.
Yeah, and that's why I said, Klinsmann got off to a rough start as a head coach, but he's a great coach. He's a mental preparation guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of played the, hey, let's be realistic, we're not going to win the World Cup. But he's definitely told his players, look, we're not underdogs anymore. We're a good team. We're a quality team. We can do the things that the Germanys do. We beat Germany. We can do the things Bosnia does. We beat Bosnia.
Yeah.
We Mexico. If Mexico can play, we can play.
We beat Italy 1-0.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the first time we ever beat Italy.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
And so, I think I like that. I want to ask you, let's talk about our top 3 U.S. players versus Ghana. I'm going to go with my number 3, and that's Clint Dempsey. Okay. I give him props because he scored an immaculate goal way to start the game. But after the nose thing, he was kind of out of it. It doesn't limit his performance, but with the Altor injury, I expected more leadership on the field with Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
Not the rest of people, because Bradley's going to handle his midfield.
Yeah, yeah.
But because Johansson made some rookie mistakes,
Well,
and I expect Dempsey to get up into his face and say, "Listen, da 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 da." You know what I mean? And I didn't see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Dempsey, partially too, you get kicked in the nose. If anyone's been popped in the nose, it messes up your day.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I don't know if you've ever taken a soccer ball to the face or a punt to the face like I have.
It
but
sucks.
It doesn't matter what happens. Your girlfriend could want to make love afterwards. You're just not going to be into it.
No.
Your whole, you don't look cool. Your nose is swollen. You're going to have he's going to have black eyes.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, he's gonna look like he got pops in both eyes. My number 3 is Graham Zusi, just because he came into the game cold and he made such a big difference right away. I think because Bedoya got injured, that's why Zusi got his chance. However, things like this happen. You know what I mean? Someone gets injured. I mean, you see it all the time in football. A quarterback gets injured, a backup comes in, and he never loses his spot.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Bedoya just got a little knock. He came out for precautionary reasons, and now Zusi came in, and he showed that he should be starting.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, my number 2 is Tim Howard. Can't say enough about this guy. This guy, he made some wonderful saves on the shots that did go on goal. He made some wonderful saves on goals that could have went in. You can't fault him on the AU goal because AU
It's just a great shot.
Yeah, left-footed outside boot to fool him.
There's not many goalies in the world
that are going to react the correct way.
Nah, no way.
So and plus you got Brooks coming in, right? Who you'll talk about here in a second. And Howard is a verbal goalie. He likes to get on.
I was just going to say that.
So he gets on his players. I'm pretty sure at halftime, I can tell you there are 2 people in that locker room talking. Tim Howard, Jurgen Klinsmann. Because Dempsey's not the vocal leader. He never will be.
No, yeah.
He's he gives you the stare.
Yeah, yeah.
He expects you to be a professional. But Howard, he has Tourette syndrome. He takes medication for it. But he's always been he's a verbal at Everton. Yeah. He yells at Leighton Baines, at Phil Jagielka, world-class defenders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. No, I agree, Howard. And he made a great save on I don't know who the striker was, but he made a great save on somebody where the ball was going in.
The ball was going in. That was Goyan's first shot.
Goyan's first shot, but either way, it would have been 1-1 at that point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he did, help John Anthony Brooks when he came in.
Yeah.
Because he was a little cold to start out, and he was.
And that's why I said Dempsey is my number 3 because what Howard did for Brooks, I didn't see Dempsey doing for Johansson. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And that's
no, I understand. But the reason I have Brooks at number 2 is just because he came on cold like Zusi, and it's his first World Cup ever.
First World Cup ever.
The guy, a lot of people didn't even think he was going to make the squad, let alone play any minutes in the World Cup.
Another
and he comes
half
in,
German, half
and he does exactly what you're supposed to do, as we talked about, as you stated earlier during the game. Head the ball down with pace.
Down with pace, yeah.
And it bounced off the ground and went in the goal.
And
that's the game winner.
Game winner right there.
So,
and for his first World Cup appearance, to be solid on defense. To make some crucial blocks, even if it's 1-1, to make crucial blocks late in a game, that's deserving of an award. But to score the game winner, to be in the correct position, to rise up above your marker and head the ball in, and to do it correctly. And for those you don't know, we have a lot of players who are German internationals. Chose to play like Julian Green, who's on the bench. Who chose to play. Jurgen Klinsmann probably had a lot to do with that. This guy plays for Hertha Berlin. He has a tattoo on one arm of Illinois, tattoo on the other one of Berlin.
Check.
Okay, this guy. These players want to play for America because the game is growing in America. There is no fan base in the world like American fans. It doesn't matter what sport.
We had over 20,000 people in the stadium today, which is the most out of any team in the World Cup besides Brazil.
Because Brazil, playing in the country.
Sure.
My number 1 is Jermaine Jones. First off, because of his assist on the flick on, which was a beautiful flick on. Plus, Jermaine Jones is a guy that some days he's just too aggressive. But it seemed today he had the perfect balance, and he had to cover 2 positions because he covered Beasley the whole first half.
Yeah.
And he was all over. He was winning balls back. He was kicking the ball out. You even said it. Instead of trying to win the ball back, he said, you know what? Give him a corner.
Yeah, boot it.
Give him a corner. Just get it out of here because they had nobody up there. And instead of letting that guy hold up the ball and get players in, he's just like, hey.
Yeah, we'll just rocking the damn ball out, let the defense come up, and
that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Things like that, that's solid leadership. That's things you learn being an international player, playing in the Bundesliga, playing in the Premier League, things like that. Because Jeff Cameron did a good job too.
I think, he did. I think that it's crazy to try to name a top 3 in this game because everybody played so well.
Except for BC.
Except for BC.
Okay.
But everybody did play really well. I don't have Jermaine Jones in there just because I think I have other guys that I thought played well also. But Jermaine Jones did his positioning is what was awesome for me because there was a chance before Altidore got hurt that Altidore had the ball in the box and Jermaine Jones was
Wide
5 yards
open.
behind him, wide open, waiting for it.
Anyway.
And, you know, he was out of position technically, but
Yeah.
he was up in the striking zone, you know what I'm saying? And he was
can
waiting
shoot.
for it.
He
Yeah,
can
and he could
shoot.
shoot. And he would have put in the goal.
Yeah, and the thing is he hasn't scored a goal for the U.S. in over 2 years. So he wants that shot. And he's not going to
was pissed when
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't
He
get
was
the
looking
ball.
at Altidore because Altidore
Yeah.
basically shot it into 2 defenders.
Yeah. All he had to do was backheel it.
Backheel it, and it's a goal. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. My number 1's Clint Dempsey. I'm going to make this really short and sweet. The only reason it's Clint Dempsey is because 34 seconds in, he scores a goal.
And that's the way to open up game. And
Yeah,
I completely
that is the
agree
way
with
to
you.
open
and
up
he's
the game.
Captain.
The 2 touches before,
Yes, we're
the touch
immaculate.
around the defender, and then the bend around into the to the right corner.
There are people at Tottenham, there are people at Fulham saying,
Holy hell!
why don't we play
are
him as
dumb.
striker? Why don't we play him as striker? Because they always play him in midfield.
Well, that's great. Now he plays for
Striker,
Seattle.
Yeah, as a striker.
There you go.
And one thing I want to say before we wrap up the show, we got games tomorrow. We've got Algeria versus Belgium. Should be a cakewalk for Belgium, although Algeria does have some attacking. It's not the Algerian teams of the past.
I'm going 3-0.
I wouldn't argue with you. 3-0 sounds a good score to me.
Okay.
I think Edison Hazard announces to the world, I'm here.
I think Hazard gets 2 and Fellaini gets a header.
I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna say Kevin Morales of Everton
Okay.
scores a goal. Plus, you got to remember we do have quality defenders for headers: Thomas Vermaelen, and Vincent Kompany. Right. So yeah, we can't forget Axel Witsel, Mr. Fro.
Axel Witsel.
You only see 2 afros in the midfield: Fellaini and
Those
Witsel.
are the only 2 afros in the history of the World Cup, right there. It's
Witsel
ridiculous.
has been notorious for haircuts, so he might come with like the braids.
Oh yeah.
Even though he's Belgium.
So you got Witsel and Sideshow Bob in the midfield.
Yeah.
He's gonna get her done.
Yeah, and then the afternoon game, which is a really interesting game, Mexico-Brazil.
This is not interesting.
It's interesting to me. Dangerous Mexico team.
You see this? You see this? This is how Mexico looks. Flat.
Well, I don't know. They didn't look flat.
Flat.
They didn't look flat to me. I'm gonna say a Brazil victory 2-0.
2-0. I think Mexico scores. I'll call 3-1. I think Brazil scores maybe even 4-1.
Okay.
But I think Brazil runs away with it without a doubt.
And for my final dark horse pick, because
we go.
Tony's Belgium plays tomorrow, Russia versus South Korea. Russia is led by Fabio Capello, the coach who took England to the World Cup in 2010. Great coach. They have a bunch of role players.
Andre
And
Arshavin.
they have Andre Arshavin, who, if anyone knows, Google Arsenal highlights. Andre Arshavin in his first ever match for Arsenal, he scored 4 goals. Not a hat.
How many years ago was this?
Hey, this kid's good. You can dribble. Hey, watch your
He's
shot on
old.
the dribble. That's the late game. I'm Sean Adams.
I'm Tony Gaglione as we see South Korea beat Russia tomorrow.
I'm saying 3-0 Russia.
Watch the bounce.
No prediction for
You
the
spilled
South
my
Korea?
candy underneath the thing.